Depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine today with a high of 72 to 79, mostly cloudy and mild tonight, low 65 to 67. Then Tuesday will be mostly cloudy with occasional rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon and a high of 78 to 84. Wednesday and Thursday both partly sunny skies, high Wednesday 81 to 84, high on Thursday 81 to 85. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt. As promised, Paul Bloom, the Public Information Officer for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, joining us in studio. The sheriff was supposed to be here this morning, but he's got some swearing-in duties he's got to take care of. So he sends Paul, who was very capable of getting the message of the sheriff out, being that's your job.
It is. I got to speak for him. He can't be everywhere at one time. So
Good morning, Paul.
Well, good morning, Tom. Good to be here. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you know, last time we talked, we were in a TV studio doing a common sense show.
That's right.
We're still doing a common sense show here. It's all about common sense.
As long as we haven't lost common sense, that's good.
Which is why I got to bring up the fact that I think there may have been some common sense lost with this internet cafe thing. But I'm going to give you a chance to convince me that I'm wrong.
All right.
Because I'm open-minded, so I can be convinced I'm wrong. But I look at the pattern that Bellevue took with the armed security guards and the time that they're open and closed and everything, and I'm thinking they're making revenue off these. The county could have looked at that model, but the sheriff was very adamant in that there wasn't models that needed to be anything except closed because of public safety. Tell me why closing is a better option than what Bellevue did.
Well, and I think Commissioner Gold said it best. He said, we're not closing the businesses at all. This is they're still open. And
yeah, you're stopping the simulated gaming is what you're stopping.
It's the gambling. That's what we're here to stop, because that has seemed to attract a large amount of violent crime in the form of robbery, shootings. People here recently, this last month, a 9-year-old child was in one, had a gun pointed at him. So that kind of crime is what the sheriff is.
A 9-year-old child. I mean, because they're not regulated, there was nobody to say that a 9-year-old couldn't come in. Because you go to the Hard Rock Casino in Tampa, they ain't let 9-year-olds in.
Correct. Yes. So those rules aren't in place here in the state of Florida to say an age range. Now, certain on the Indian reservation casinos, they
make their own rules. Yeah.
Right. So yes, so absolutely, a 9-year-old is in there while the robbery is going down, and just 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago, we had someone that was shot by a robber. So this is very serious to the sheriff, just based on the fact of the danger that it poses to our citizens out there. Any kind of what we call a nuisance, a threat, we want to deal with and deal with it quickly. So basically with this, trying to get down to the source of it. So what's the source of it? Well, people are truly gambling. There's a lot of cash changing hands. There's a difference between a game of chance and a game of skill. And these games of chance, just like the one-armed bandits out there in Las Vegas, you can lose money.
It's all about luck.
It is luck, correct. So this cash changing hands, it just presented a big target for these criminals to come in and put our citizens in danger, put everybody in there, even to the point of putting a gun up to a 9-year-old child.
And I was told, and you could speak this, I was told, then once these problems happen, the investigative process is hindered as well.
We're running into a lot of uncooperative victims at these businesses. So we try to find out what happened and get as much information as we can to try to find the criminals and the perpetrators. And typically a victim is very cooperative with us, but we're finding in these cases they're not. They don't want us to dig into what they're doing for whatever their reasons being. makes our job just that much more difficult in finding out, okay, who in fact is coming in here pointing guns at citizens and children. So for us, yeah, the games themselves and getting with the county commissioners, and I give them credit. They listen to all sides of the story. I sat in the commission meeting and they had, I don't know, 50, 60 people come up to speak, for them. And
Right.
of course had listened to folks. So they listened to all sides of that. I think took all that into account and weighed it in the balances. And just putting the squash on these machines, this gambling machine, is what we're doing. The business is still fine to open. I know that's where they're trying to drive the revenue is from the gambling.
But it is an internet cafe. You can go surf the internet there, have your cappuccino, whatever it is they serve there, and that's perfectly legal. Just the games of chance have been taken out.
That's correct. And that's what Commissioner Bryan and Commissioner Gold both reiterated, that you're still available to do. A lot of these internet cafes have done some charitable work and helping people locally. That's great. We encourage that. The county commission, I'm sure, does. And those are not being limited, not being closed. Your business is not closed. Your business model has to change as times change and as laws change. So their business model is going to have to change a little bit. But we're not closing businesses, not in this county. So just those games now are going to be something that's not allowed.
And was there some issues about whether the games were actually above board and fair and on the up and up?
So yes, there's arcade games. You can go in and play Pac-Man, and what you win is the more points. You beat your buddy. You remember how it was back growing up. We played some
Right.
Pac-Man, and I lost a bunch of quarters that I should have saved.
Certainly.
But the winnings there is just pride. Yeah, you get to put your initials in there. And but these games have a monetary reward, and there's folks that come in there. There's also, they don't post the odds of winning. If you look at the Florida Lottery, for instance, there's odds of winning that are clearly posted, and internet casinos down there, like in the Indian reservations, the odds are posted. Not in this business. Can those odds be changed? Can it be altered to benefit the business? We don't know. So, and I know a lot of folks were pushing for regulation of these businesses, that you kind of mentioned. And regulation still does not change the fact that there's gambling going on with a lot of cash changing hands and still being a target for these robbers, for these thieves.
And that really is the crux of what the sheriff, when the sheriff went and talked to the county commissioner about this, it was really this cash business is got a bullseye on its back as a place that is a soft target for criminals to rob. I get that. It also, I remember a few years ago on the southern part of town where they went in and robbed the internet cafe, and a man with his concealed carry permit, they ended up getting in a shootout with the robbers. Well, that brings a lot of people into danger's way.
Yeah, so if you're anywhere near that shootout going down, yeah, you're in danger from being shot by friendly fire or bad guy fire. But yes, and that's exactly what we're looking at. I know somebody said, well, maybe you're trying to legislate morality, and that's not it at all. We're just trying to, if we had any other business that was attracting this much violent criminal activity, we're going to address that as well. But that is the crux of what's the pinpoint reason that we're after this, was to remove this from our county.
And we hadn't even got involved with the people that come in to clean money in a cash business and stuff like that. You know, people don't realize, you do, you're in law enforcement. I do, because I used to not be a nice guy. But there are pursuits that people do to make money that they then have to wash that money so that it's not dirty money anymore. It's called money laundering.
Yes.
And a cash business is a very easy place to money launder. And I'm talking about the people who sling dope on the corners and need to clean their money. I'm not pulling punches.
Yep.
Dope dealers need to clean their money.
Sure.
These establishments gave you an opportunity to do that, whether it was meant to be that as a advantage of these businesses. So you had, not only did you have people robbing the places, but then the victims, a lot of them didn't want to talk to you because maybe they were there on less than stellar reasoning too.
That's kind of our reasoning there. I think so. We run into a lot of resistance there, and at their own admission, and in front of the county commissioners, telling us that they don't know who the owner is. They can give us only maybe first name of somebody. They don't. So
Somebody's
no way of
second
knowing.
cousin's brother who knows
Correct.
the guy who may own the place.
Right. So you're running into that a lot, and we had some of their own employees again admitting in front of the county commission that they don't pay taxes. They don't withdraw federal income tax. So it's a cash business, probably deeply in violation of federal tax law somewhere. And like you said, yeah, there's potential for money laundering, a lot of other dangerous activity. and just that cash flow being there, that big soft target for these guys that just and unfortunately, Tom, the drug problem here in America is not going away, and people that are hooked on drugs, they still want to get those drugs, and if they don't have money, they're going to try to find money some way. This becomes a target.
Let's talk for a minute. Let's switch subjects and talk for a minute. I know that these things happen. I know you had a woman walk away from the hospital that was in custody. You had an 18-year-old somehow get out of Sallyport that was in custody. And I know the jail is not unsafe, but a lot of people saying that's a lot of folks just walking away from custody. Is that just a happen circumstance that they both happened, or they all happened right about the same time? And mistakes are made sometimes, but you learn from those and try to fix them, or is this a prevalent problem? Well,
so we always want to look back at what you've done every day you work and see how I do, what I do good, what I do bad. And same with this. This is and glad to say this hasn't happened, but it did happen just all at once, the same
all
week
at
there.
Once, yeah. And I'd never heard of it happening with the sheriff's department, and then all of a sudden it happened like 2 or 3 times in a week and a half.
Right. So I had a young lady that was in the hospital being treated and snuck out.
She was found right. Y'all
found her right away.
Yeah.
Yes, and returned her. But then, last week had someone that was arrested, and he was an 18-year-old, but he still has some juvenile charges. So he'd been arrested for giving a false name to an officer, and he had a little bit of marijuana on him. Had bonded out on that charge. So he's dressed back in his civilian clothes waiting to bond out, but he still had these juvenile warrants. So the juvenile detention center, just really 100 yards away from where our jail is, he's going to be transferred over there. Well, he snuck out with a civilian staff that was leaving, and there was some mix-up and confusion in the communication. And the truth is, if he had gone over to the juvenile center, they're going to check him in, book him, and release him most likely.
Right.
But unfortunately, he decided to run, thought about it. He's telling us that he had a family member, girlfriend, somebody that was in a hospital that he wanted to go see, so that was his reasoning. But irregardless,
if he'd have waited another hour, he'd have been released.
He most likely would have been released. So, so we have made some significant changes there just into the structure and the way we do things, and it's very inconvenient for some of our civilian staff that has to come in and work. However, it just has to be that way. And so, we always look back and always take things that happen as an opportunity to grow, to change, to make it even better. And so a lot of good things are being done at the jail right now, to include the new fencing around the jail. This jail is not brand new. It's been around here for a long time.
The Gold Star Hilton's been here a while.
It has. So it's overdue for some upgrades. Very fortunate that our county commissioner saw that same thing, had an opportunity to get out there and look at that, and approved some funding to help us secure that even better. And matter of fact, they're in the process of that now. Some more security upgrades, fencing upgrades, going to be even harder to get in and out of that place.
You hear about the people moving to Marion County. There's 1,000 people a week moving to Florida. 100 of those are moving to the Marion County area every week. So with that in mind, is the sheriff's department already looking at doing and putting things in place to increase the amount of officers as well? Because with more population, you're going to need more officers, aren't you?
That's right. And I've always said Marion County is a great place. I was born and raised here, and I love it. And other people are finding this out, what a great place it is. So good proximity to everything. Orlando, I can get away from Orlando if I want to. I can go to the beach, but I can get away from the beach if I want to.
You certainly can, in any direction. You
That's
can be
right.
in Jacksonville an hour and a half, Orlando an hour and 15 minutes,
Yep.
beach an hour one way, hour and 10 minutes the other way.
That's right. We're catching trout in Cedar Key in
You can
no
be in
time.
the Springs in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. So it's a great place. And yes, it is growing leaps and bounds. And if you've driven in this county in the last couple of years, you'll attest to that. It's very busy. And I think everybody must have at least 5 cars in their household now, but a lot of traffic. And yes, so we are looking at that. And currently we're hiring. We put that out on some social media last week, trying to draw some attention that yes, we are hiring in various positions. We've, going back just a few years ago, we had about 800 positions. Now that's up to about 900 positions that we're trying to make sure we fill. And these range anywhere from civilian that no experience at all to people that are certified in law enforcement or want to be certified in law enforcement. So we are trying to fill those gaps.
People don't realize sometimes just how big Marion County is.
That's the truth.
And somebody go, why do we need 900? You got the Ocala Police Department, you got the Denellen Police. Why would you need 900? But people don't realize to drive from Orange Springs, which is at the northeast corner, right there at Putnam County.
Right.
If I was to drive from that area, right there at the Putnam County, Marion County line, to the Marion County, Citrus County line on the west side of Dunellen, that's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're going to have to stop at a rest area between here and there.
Yeah, people don't realize that's an hour. It's the same distance from Orange Lake to the county line in Orange Lake, the county line in Dunellen, is the same distance it is from about downtown Ocala to Disney World.
Correct.
And people don't realize that.
It's a lot of ground to cover, and we have law enforcement as one, I guess, wing of what we do. The other side is the courthouse. We have to do court and civil, and then of course the jail. So we have three main areas that we're tasked with constitutionally to take care of. So it does take a lot of folks, sworn and non-sworn, to make sure that goes, and we try to do it as efficiently as we can, using as few people as we can to do as much as we can, like any good business should. But it's growing leaps and bounds, and now I don't know if you've been out there yet to this World Equestrian Center. There's things coming into this county that's going to attract a lot more folks, I think, and it's great. But we're trying to grow with it.
That World Equestrian Center, I want to know what because I tell you what my first reaction was, and see if it was close to yours. Because, I'm a lot like you. I was born in a small town, raised in a small town. Everybody goes, you were born in Jacksonville. Yeah, but I was raised in Callahan. Callahan, the only big thing in Callahan is 301 US 1, and that's how you get out of Callahan. Okay, that's what we know about Callahan. One stoplight.
Was there a water tower?
Oh, we got a water tower.
Okay.
So we both are kind of raised the same way and everything. And when you start thinking about all the people that are moving here, and you think about all the trouble that could come and everything, sometimes I get this thought that it can't get any bigger. And then I went to the World Equestrian Center. And when I walked on the lot, and I get back there and you're in that arena, I did a 360. Well, I just turned around. And I was in awe. The whole I had to, so flies didn't come in. I had to keep the mouth shut. But I just thought, even though I don't want Ocala to get big, if this is the kind of things we're bringing here, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's true. I went there the first time about 4 weeks ago, and somebody told me about a Mexican restaurant out there. So I said, yeah, I love tacos. Let's go. And I think the place is way undersold. I walked out there. I said, my goodness, this place is enormous. It's very nice, very friendly, and just
you
a lot
don't
of fun.
expect it when you first going through the gates.
Not at all.
You have no idea what you're going to see.
That's right. And I think it's a great thing for Ocala, Marion County, and the things that are going on there is drawing folks from all over the world, really, and that benefits us, our local businesses, and everybody when that's happening. So I think it's a good thing, and yeah, I'm good with that. I'm fine. Let's let this grow in a good way and not a bad way, and that's our mission too. I
don't want 40-story buildings in Ocala.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with things like the World Equestrian Center.
It's fun. You can get out there.
It's a night, and it's out on the west side of town. It just is an amazing place. But what kind of challenges does it offer for policing? Because it's still in the county. It's still something you guys, if there's issues or everything, it's you guys are answering the call. So what kind of special issues, or are there any issues that a place like that, with the size it has and the amount of people that are coming in, are there any special issues it presents for the sheriff's department?
Well, there's always going to be something, but so far we've had just a great experience with them. They're the folks out there, the owners and the employees there that work with us very well, have their own security. And I think for the most part, the folks that come up there, they're there to enjoy themselves, to compete in some shows, and whatever they're doing, and just there to enjoy themselves. So really haven't had the issues, but obviously when you have somebody coming from another state, even from another country, maybe we have some rules here that they don't have where they are, and maybe there's a little adjustment, but so far so good. Haven't had that. We've had a great relationship with them, and like I said, I went out there for the first time a few weeks ago. I went back and just admitted, here on the air, that I went back 2 Saturdays in a row to that ice cream shop, and
I hear it's fantastic.
It is. Is it good for me?
I stayed away from it, but I heard it was fantastic.
It was really good. Yes. I don't know that my doctor would recommend eating ice cream as often as I want to, but it's definitely.
Well, we got to have something to take Brewster's place.
I guess you're right.
I mean, Brewster's closed. Got to have something to take place.
Yeah, saw that.
Have something to take place. And you can't get a Dairy Queen, but every now and then, you know what I mean? So
yeah, the peanut butter.
Yeah, I can talk about Dairy Queen. They advertise on the radio, so
Oh, okay.
And there ain't nothing but, hey, you get the right Blizzard.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at Dairy Queen. Pretty
Yeah,
good there. But I hear the ice cream place out there at the WEC is amazing.
It's very good. And I even had it on a freezing cold day, and it was still good.
Is there any talk of, or do you know of any talk of, I know there's a substation in Salt Springs. There's a substation in the Forest. There's a substation right near Santos. Is there any talk of, if population dictates it, that there may have to be a substation built out towards the World Equestrian Center?
So that may. We have, of course, in that proximity, yes, you have the Denellen District. We have the North Multi-District, we call it, up at 441, just north of the Winn-Dixie, and 326, that area. So it may develop into that. The northwest portion of our county has typically been very rural, very agricultural based. But yes, as it grows, then that is something that we have to consider, obviously. And right now there's 11 districts in this county. It's over 1,600 square miles, like you talked about, and trying to cover that. But the district offices anymore, we're able to do. The deputies out there on the road can work from their car. It becomes your office, basically. So do you need a district office? Yes. But can you still function?
Certainly.
Absolutely.
Talk about a sad situation and how it impacted the Sheriff's Department. We know that in October, Greg Graham tragically was taken from us in a plane crash. Him and Sheriff Woods had worked together for almost 30 years, because Sheriff Wood had been a lieutenant with the OPD before he ran for office. What's been the transition now that Mike Balkin has transitioned into chief? Has it been operating the same exact way, and so there's been no hiccups, or is there a learning curve, or is it pretty much the bond is still, because there was a good bond between the sheriff and the Chief Greg Graham, when he was here?
That's right. And with Sheriff Woods having spent 26 years at the Ocala Police,
he knows Chief Balkin pretty good too.
He does, yeah. They're good friends, and it was good when Sheriff Woods came into office to strengthen that bond between the sheriff's office and the police department. And we have many things that we do together, to include a drug unit, school resource officers, just to name a few. So that working together has to happen, and it's really been as tragic as a situation as that was. And of course, that's one thing that we all think of. My goodness, this is a big blow to that agency. But Chief Balkin stepped up there and has maintained that great relationship and just done a fantastic job, I think. And really, for the impact that they had, it was a very seamless transition from our perspective in working together. I think a very seamless transition. And the sheriff, the police chief, the fire chiefs, they still meet every week and have breakfast together, just talk about what's going on at each agency and how they can help each other. And it's a great working relationship, even with firemen.
That was a rough 2 or 3 months we went through as a community.
Sure was.
To lose a pillar of the community like Greg Graham was. Chief Mike Balkin, though, Chief Graham had put Chief Balkin in a position where it was apparent, when Chief Graham decided to leave office, Mike Balkin would probably be the next obvious choice, and that's what happened tragically, but that's still what happened. So how important is it that it's a great partnership with Ocala PD, Denellen PD, with the Florida Highway Patrol, with the FBI? People forget the FBI is here in town. The FDLE. How important is that relationship, that all of y'all meet and get along and are able to cross over the lines to each other's agencies?
Well, you got to look at it from a citizen's perspective. And as a citizen, I don't know where the jurisdiction ends for the Ocala Police Department, the Marion County Sheriff.
I have no clue.
I may drive through 3 jurisdictions.
I just know if I call 911, somebody shows up. I don't care if it's got a gold star on it or OPD on it.
And that's the way it should be. You shouldn't have to worry about who am I going to call and where am I at right now. And that's what we want that to be. We have liaisons with the FBI, the federal agents as well. And we have guys from our agency, their specific assignment is to be that liaison. So it's very important to the sheriff that they have these relationships and they're functioning properly, and that the outcome is what we're all after. Is that in many cases we look at say a drug case, for instance, somebody's selling a lot of this poisonous drugs, heroin, whatever in our county. We want to work with the drug unit, which involves OPD, us, FDLE, ATF, FBI, and if there's federal charges, we're going to bring those federal charges through those federal agencies as well, and try to rid this out of our county. So it behooves us to provide a better service. We can't do it all on our own, but working together, it's a great service, I think, that their citizens are receiving.
that you make a good point as we're wrapping it up. You do it in concert with the federal prosecutors, the state prosecutors. It's all one team to go after some of these drug dealers, especially with the murder charges y'all are going after. I think you're doing great work with that. Paul, it's been nice having you on. You come back again?
I'll be back,
I'm sure
yeah.
the sheriff's coming, but when he's not coming, you can come back.
I'll be glad to.
All right, Paul Bloom, the Public Information Officer for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, joins us today. We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pride.
Indian rescue crews continue to search for trapped victims after part of a glacier in the Himalayas broke off Sunday morning that slammed into 2 hydroelectric plants. At least 9 people were killed and 140 were missing when the Nanda Devi glacier snapped. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial resumed on Monday, with his lawyers giving their formal response to the indictment. The trial resumes 43 days before Israel is due to hold